Webs, you great network of fellow nerds. Oh, coffee time. Look at this. I'm building a mushroom castle, basically. Did a bit more reading, learned a little bit more about my little mushrooms here. You know, always more to learn, as it turns out, certainly for me. Big empty space where my education should be. Oh, so coffee, no milk today. I'm messing with any milk today, just pure, unadulterated caffeine because I got to work today. So I got a pickup time for filming at 1:30 today. So I shall chatter with you, throw myself in a shower, shave so I look respectable, and they're gonna have to cut my hair because look at this. I mean, this says like mad Hobbit thing. This looks more Lord of the Rings than anything else. So yeah, there you go. Mushrooms, look at those. They are taking off. I've even got some little friends showing up over here as well. I don't know if you can see those little guys. Hello. So they're kind of exciting. I was thinking about maybe diving into them a bit today. Like maybe just taking off a couple of these large ones and throwing them in with a little butter and some eggs for brekkie or something. But I think I'll let them go for a little bit longer. I don't know. It just seems like such a shame to take them down. They're just, the structure of these things is just so cool. And I've learned that, so fungi, I would have said fungi when I was a kid, but I've heard a lot of people say fungi, and fungi is just much more fun to say. Fungi. So mushrooms are the fruit of a fungi, which I thought was kind of neat. So the mycelium is a network underground for the most part, and then these little babies pop up as the fruits, which I didn't actually realize that was the case. Again, this is a whole new world of mushrooms to me. But I just thought that was kind of cool. So the internet is basically, mycelium of networks, of strands of interconnected networks that bring forth the fruit of things like YouTube and stuff. So anyways, just really very very sort of cool to read about that. Last night, this morning, I've been doing this cultivating mushrooms sort of class that the Odin's doing. I'm sorry, I am so wiped out. Like, I wasn't kidding. It was supposed to be. So I did yoga yesterday, which I gotta say kicked my knees. So I thought, I'm gonna take it easy on my joints today. I'll do this low impact session, 7-minute session. So I did my warm up, my usual warm up, which is bouncing around like a freaking goofball. It's freaking exhausting. But so the warm up, frankly, I find more tiring than anything else, except that today I did this low impact thing. Thank God I'm seated today both for this and for my scene. I'm like dreading them saying, why don't you get up and walk around? Because I'm not sure I could at this point. That was a kick ass, kick ab, kick everything kind of exercise. And God, I mean, this is the problem is I just don't, ooh, that's a cool angle. So I did happen to see Lord of the Rings remastered on IMAX last week, and your hair could very well have been casted for that film. In fact, yes, I think I should probably send my hair shot resume in so that they can have a look at it for Lord of the Rings. I would love to be in Lord of the Rings. I'll tell you why. A big part because of Lord of the Rings, obviously, but also because New freaking Zealand. Like, New Zealand is just a beautiful, beautiful place. I just can't imagine being able to go to the places that they go to film something like that. You'd have access to locations that you probably wouldn't have access to any other way. And you've got all of those amazing Weta folks and all of the prop making and the prosthetics and stuff. Oh my God. So yeah, I mean, God, that would be amazing to get something on that. But as it turns out, right now I'm actually pretty booked, which is kind of neat. I hope I'll have time to look after my mushrooms properly. That is a great angle. I got to keep this. It's sort of fallen into this space. It may not last there. But morning, Alfred. How are you, Alfred? Great name. Yeah. So what else have I got for you? So yeah, lots of reading about fungi and mushrooms and spores and mycelium and all the weird and wonderful things that fungi can do. What always comes up in my science nerd stuff is that incredible fungus that attacks the carpenter ants, the ones that actually controls the carpenter ants, and was used as sort of an inspiration or nightmare for The Last of Us, the zombies in The Last of Us. Just the idea that this freaking thing can this thing can not only take over control of these ants, but it can get, it's like something out of a movie. Like they get them to find just the right height leaves, and then in a sort of a death spasm, these ants that wouldn't normally do this clamp into the center of the leaf, into the strongest part of the leaf, and then die there, or like in rigor mortis, or whatever the heck it is that these things do to paralyze it. And then it just hangs there as the fungus replicates, and then it's in the perfect spot for like dumping their spores on the next round of ants that come by. It's freaking insanely cool, and just insane. And I saw that there was a GoFundMe or some kind of a funding project. I'd never heard of the site called before, but it's experiment, I guess, where you can actually fund experiments. And one of the experiments was they wanted to research how these things controlled the brains. And I thought, well, that's gonna go well, because if we figure out how to do that, we are in big freaking trouble. That just seems like the beginning of 28 days after 28 days and the other 28 days after. You know what I mean? Like it's like another zombie movie waiting to happen in real life. We got a pandemic to deal with, for God's sake. But that said, I love the idea of people researching into that aspect of it, because I mean, like apparently these things like clamp down on the leaf at exactly like high noon and stuff. Like it's really precise, and it seems incredibly premeditated by this fungus to actually to be able to do this stuff. So just freaking cool stuff. I hope my mushrooms don't take over. You probably wouldn't even notice, actually, with me. I just go upstairs, get coffee, come down, do my exercises. You probably wouldn't even notice I had like a fungus growing out of my head. In fact, you wouldn't notice with my hair. In fact, maybe this is some kind of a mycelium growth that's happening on my hair. So when you next see me, I would be, hopefully, slightly better coiffed, I think. Or I would say worse coiffed, because I quite like my coif. But yeah. What do we got here? Mushrooms are amazing. They really are. Mr. Hewlett, the mushrooms are doing so well. They are, aren't they? They're my little children. Miss Liz, I'm so proud of them. I also believe it was the inspiration for an episode of X-Files. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, look, it really is the stuff of nightmare. Morning, Strusen, or Struxen. Indigo Child. Oh, it's a good coffee. It's a good damn coffee. Oh, I don't know how to say that one. Gibanikar Stolar. Oh my God, Roddy McKay. Indeed. David, what's your workout plan? Oh, Alexander, my plan is to try to never, ever have to do it again. I hate it. I used to say this on my Burn Learns, that I hate exercise. There's nothing or very few things that I hate more than exercise. I see no joy in it. I get no satisfaction from it. I'm happy when it's over, and even then it's an unhappy happy, because I just feel miserable. I just don't like it. I don't like it. It's just like it's like pulling fingernails. It's just, oh God, I hate it. Anyways, so the plan is to keep it as short and as sort of, as forgettable as possible. So I started doing a 7-minute workout, because I'd heard that this 7-minute intense workout was a great way to go, but 7 minutes just didn't feel like, I just felt like I was cheating. So I started doing a warm-up, which someone suggested here, actually. Someone suggested on this little chit-chat that I do a warm-up, because that would help with aches and pains. Thanks for that. It's now my most hated part of the workout, because frankly, it's almost harder workout than the workout, because I was bouncing around crap like some kind of a demented puppy. And in fact, I am jumping around with a demented puppy, because Huzzah takes great glee in my leaping around, and tends to sort of go for the feet and arms and anything else she can get to. You got to be careful with that. So I do a 7-minute workout, 7-minute real exercise, for want of a better word, I guess. And then I do a 7-minute cool down or stretch, depending on how I feel. And today I did a cool down, because I just thought, you know what, I'm moving, keep me moving. A body in motion stays in motion, and all that. And I just want to get to the point where I feel worse if I don't exercise than if I do. And that's going to take a long time, I think, Alexander, a very long time, because I freaking hate it. And I wish, I don't feel any better. I don't feel any better. I don't feel like it, but anyways, whatever. It's being done. It is. I think it's in my head now that the exercise fungus has embedded in my brain, and I'm going to hopefully have it control me for a bit and see if I can just not die before my son is, is old enough to miss me, if that makes sense. What a miserable, grim approach, isn't it? Why can't I find the chat? Oh, there you go. I see what I got here. I have a Death Wish coffee beans that I use in my espresso machine. I have Death Wish coffee beans. Wow, Elizabeth Lee, what are they? They sound amazing. All right. Hey, David, from me and Mikey, Building an electric treadmill. Oh, sweet. Is that an electric treadmill that's going to like what, power your computer so you have to exercise while you're gaming or something like that? I forced myself to go for a walk today. Just got done doing it and ended up walking 30 minutes. See, look, the walk is great. I am forced out of the house at least daily to walk the dog, which of course I resent and whine and complain about. But I usually go as late as I can. Sometimes I go with Baz, which is really, I gotta say, that's the best time to talk to your kid is when they're walking. Yeah, for some reason, boys, for some reason, they just become talkative. There's not, I guess because you're not looking at them, they're not gauging your response. They're not assuming that you're about to judge them, which of course you are because you're a parent. And you just have these wonderful kind of conversations with him and this sort of insights into his life and his interests and stuff. And it's just fascinating to hear. I mean, his whole sort of like dreams of the future and his desire to go back to LA and to do the streaming and everything. And I find it, as a grown up, I want to go, oh, but what about school and education and all these important things as he points out, I didn't do that. And I think you have to choose your own path. I hope we're giving him enough, sort of guidance and example to go by. I mean, part of the reason for my exercise as well is, we were complaining about Baz, because of the whole being at school and stuff, at home school stuff. There's a real lack of exercise for the kids, for most of the kids, unless they're very outdoorsy anyways, or the parents are very outdoorsy, and we are not. I mean, Jane is fit. Boy, she's fit. Let me tell you, she's fit, but don't she know it? But we're not like big outdoorsy people. Jane likes her yoga. I like anything where no one can see me doing it. Exercise wise, I can't, the idea of like communal exercise, communal eating bothers me. Why would I want to exercise in front of people? So I have to, whatever I have to do at home. And one of the things I really wanted to focus on was to be able to exercise on a daily basis and not require anything. Like I got my phone. My phone tells me what to do. At this point, I could probably run through it myself because I've probably memorized most of it at this point. The timing would be hard to get right. But I was using the elliptical, and I found that if I was away or whatever, I was sort of trying to find other things to do, and it never worked. And this way, no matter where I am, no matter where I go, exercise is there. So that's the plan on that. We'll see. And coffee will be wherever I go. So anyways, the idea is that by exercising every day, I kind of want to plant that seed in his head. I want him to feel like, I want him to at least notice that his father is doing exercise, is taking an interest in that stuff. Because even if that fungus doesn't implant right away for him, that exercise, that controlling fungus, that parental fungus, I feel like, potentially I have inoculated him with a little mycelium of exercise perspective, and that maybe that will sort of fruit later, shall we say? Oh my God, I'm really pushing these. I'm pushing these the fungus quotes today, or the fungus thoughts. My fungus thoughts, isn't that lovely? So yeah, that's just a big part of it. I think sort of leading by example. I found that worked really well with. Really worked with cigarettes. When I had friends or girlfriends or even Jane, when I met Jane, we both smoked when we met. And, I've always found that if you try to tell people to quit, it never works. Although I do take great glee out of mocking people who smoke in a hopefully friendly way, just to remind them that yes, it is being noticed that they smoke and it's a stupid thing to do. Each to one's own. Just keep it the hell away from me and my loved ones. And for God's sake, just love yourself enough to stop that crap, because it's just you're literally being sold poison by a company. Anyway, point being is I smoked like a chimney most of my life. 2.5 packs a day, Camel Lights. I loved them. I miss them still. But when I quit, I just found that instead of bugging, I didn't bug Jane about quitting smoking. I never really hassled her about it. I do now. If she were to smoke now, I'd flip. But not because she's a different person than I am. I am incredibly obsessive with this stuff, as you can tell. Like, look, I'm all fungus right now. It's like I'm living in one. So by quitting smoking, you'd just be amazed how many people will come up and say, "Oh, how did you quit?" As with everything I've discovered in life, everyone wants an answer. Everyone wants you to say, this is the exercise routine that you do. It is painless. It is instant. That is your life changed from here and now. Same thing with writing. Same thing with acting to some extent, directing. Certainly with exercise, people want to know, and I'm exactly the same. They want to know, what's the trick? What's the trick? What do I do? And unfortunately, it always comes down to the same thing. It just comes down to doing it. Like I just think you know, you your brain is so good at tricking you. Like with cigarettes, I found that you'd quit. You'd be quit for like a month maybe, and then you'd go to a party and you'd have a couple of drinks and then you'd smoke a cigarette and you'd be like, ah man, I'm back on it again. And I start smoking and I'd go buy a pack and or you'd go like, oh, I'm smoking again, but I won't buy a pack. So you're bumming cigarettes off people for the next month and then you're back on cigarettes again. And the reality is, if the non-addicted mind would just go like, so what? You had a cigarette last night. Why would that mean you have to smoke today? You know what I mean? Like it's such a simple, subtle thing that you but your brain just doesn't. It just doesn't. It doesn't let you go there. It's extraordinary. I mean, it's kind of terrifying. And Baz and I have been discussing this about social media and internet and gaming addiction because he goes through all of the stages of what's it called? You're going into it's like he's detoxing. It's like not detoxing. What's it called? Oh, for God's sake! The problem with exercise is it also destroys my brain. He's suffering from withdrawal. Like he goes through withdrawal symptoms when you take him away from games. Like there's the anger, the desperation, the pleading, the begging, the I'm fine, I'm just gonna go here and lie asleep for a while. I mean, it's total withdrawal. Thank you for everybody. Withdrawal. I know. Like you think I'm gonna be great on set today. Thank God they wrote the lines for me. I don't have to make any up. I got a really fun scene with one of my favorite actresses, I've got to say. Are you allowed to say actresses anymore? Actor, she's extraordinary. She's so great. Like she's just a brilliant actor. And we didn't get to actually do a scene together last time, and then in this episode I get to. So and it's just me and her. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I can't tell you names because then I'll give everything away, won't I? Meditation is key. Oh, Indigo Child. Meditation. What is meditation? My mind is going all the time. I can't meditate. I get antsy. I get jumpy. I leap around. Yeah, that's interesting. So Rebel's saying that her mom's been off cigarettes for 25 years. Yeah, I mean, my father, who hasn't smoked probably since I was born, which is at least 21 years, like 50 years, he still says like if he had a cigarette now, he'd probably be back on them again. I definitely crave them sometimes. I don't, however, when I'm around them now, I find like, why do I want to smell like them or have the headache that comes with a cigarette without the joy of having a cigarette? So now I don't, I like the idea of meditation, but I can't say, yeah, I'm the same with the meditation thing. Look, I'm sure it took me a long time to get around to doing yoga with Jane. I mean, I sort of scoffed at yoga. I was far too manly for yoga. And as it turns out, yoga was far too manly for me. So they took me a while to come around to that. Maybe, there's definitely a meditation component to yoga. I love what's it called at the end? The Vipassana or Viagra, whatever the term is. When you lie there at the end, that is the best. And they say lie there for an extra 5-10 minutes if you want. And I do every time because that's just that's where you're exhausted. You can lie there. I do feel like you're tired enough that your brain isn't racing. And one of the hardest things I found about yoga was that is not having your brain go off in other places. I mean, the great thing about these 7-minute workouts for me is that they are intense, they're counted, they're just basically shouted at the entire time. So I don't have time to get distracted. So, hello, Ryan. How are you? Ryan Sharp. That's a good name. That's a good, solid hero's name. Ryan Sharp here. Emperador. How are you, Emperador? It's always a pleasure having Emperador here. Morning, as always, question for the day. For you, what is the worst habit for failure? Worst habit for failure. I think the worst habit for failure is putting off the stuff that is the most important to you, putting off those dreams, putting off that sitting down to write, putting off, you know, filming an audition video or a monologue to show off or to start working on that maker project or whatever. It's this idea that for some reason our lives, we're constantly responding to for want of a better word, the emergencies, right? The things, you're reacting to things as they come up all the time. It's very easy for the day to disappear doing the most mundane, silly things that are so unimportant to you. And then you put off the things that are of absolute, that are the actual core of everything you want to be. And you, for some reason, we schedule that for later in return for these immediate silly things that we don't need to do, that can be put off. So I would say, I guess procrastination, but procrastination I think is a different thing. I think procrastination, I definitely procrastinate on a lot of stuff, but I think it really is. It's that idea that we need to set time aside for the things that we really want to do, and we'll do that after. I have always said, like, everyone who I know who is truly successful, and I'm not one of them. I'm terrible at this thing. Do as I say, not as I do. But the people who really are accomplish their goals and have a control over their life that I really envy, tend to put the things that are most important to them, to put those dreams, to put those talents, to put those to put those future plans into action. They do them first in the day. They schedule them at the beginning of the day. They do nothing until that mission is complete. I mean, we talked to Crow Scratch, to Jimmy Key, about writing, and he's one of those guys who, he, for the most part, I mean, unless I call him and bug him and distract him, he's getting his 1,000 good words a day before he does anything. Vincenzo Natali, the guy who wrote and directed Cube, he's up at like 5 a.m. every morning, like just working on the stuff that's important to him. And then he gets caught up in the phone calls and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's such a great, loss in general for people to realize after many, 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 many years that they have been planning on doing this thing for so long. And what do they say? It's like plans without actions or dreams. And this depresses the shiitakes out of me in Parador, because I know I am very, very much a product of this myself. So maybe this isn't the greatest source of failure for other people, but it is for me, absolutely for me. I have to do my exercise first thing in the morning now, because the later it gets in the day, the less chance I'm going to do it. That doesn't mean I won't do it, but there's less chance that I'll do it. And exercise for me is something that I've always put off in my life, and I think it's becoming, because of my age and my health and stuff, it's something that I've got to take more sort of responsibility for. So that's, I just don't want to leave my wife and my kids stranded because I'm Jabba the Hutt who can't run around the block. You know what I mean? I'm so unfit that I can't provide and support and be there and have fun with my family. I mean, honestly, that's what it comes down to. I've never been able to motivate it for myself, so I'm trying to guilt myself into it, both with these things where I'm able to actually have you yell at me if I don't do it, or at least be aware that I know that at least, what have we got, at least 73 people are going to know that I didn't exercise today if I don't exercise today. So I think that's important. And I'm actually very surprised and thankful for the number of people who actually end up watching these things, because I looked at some numbers yesterday. I was like, oh my gosh, I mean, like that's quite startling. Anyways, so Emperador, a fantastic question. And let me see if I can make it I can nutshell it a little bit more, because I do tend to squirrel around a bit with this stuff. I think the biggest source of failure is not prioritizing those creative and life-changing projects. I think those need to be prioritized over and above other things. And if that means, okay, so the place is a little dustier than it should for a couple of days because you didn't get a chance to clean, that, that you're eating ramen noodles because you forgot to go get food. You know, I think that you can, I think there's a lot of stuff that can be pushed off. And I think especially now with these beasts here, with these, not the mushrooms, the phones and the always connected, there's always distractions. So turn off the notifications, and just knuckle down. It makes a big difference. And I think the other thing is I think people also want things to be done right away, right? They expect that they're going to sit down one day, they're going to write all day, and they go, this is amazing, I got so much done in one day. The problem is not the one day. The problem is how do you make it a habit? A habit is the most important thing. I think it'd honestly be more valuable to write for 15 minutes a day. I mean, James says, set a number, set like a number of words. So like for writing 250 words, let's say you write 250 words a day, that's it. I really struggled with writing and the guilt of writing and all this kind of stuff. And eventually I remember reading somewhere where they said like, well, either write or don't write, but don't feel guilty about it. Like if you're not writing, then if writing's not of that priority for you, then don't worry about it. I mean, it's not, what's the point of beating yourself up about it? But if you want to write, then bloody well do it, is basically it. And I keep coming back to writing because I think writing's a good example of things where people want a solution for that. People want to know, like, okay, how do I become a writer? And it's like, you write. That's literally what it comes down to. I mean, not to sound too sort of smug about it, but that is literally what it's about. And my recommendation to everybody nowadays, I was talking to Lance, to Gimpy God the other day, and I really think he should be writing because he's got some amazing stories about being a teacher with disabilities, a science nerd and a math teacher. I mean, he's got extraordinary stories, like stories that would curdle your blood at just how completely misunderstood and sort of ableist the system was, and I suppose continues to be to some extent. But I mean, that's not what he's not all about that. He's about gaming and stuff. So he's a fun guy to talk to. But just, it was extraordinary for me to hear some of his sort of background stories about his experience with the educational system and stuff, both as a kid and then as a teacher. Can't remember the point of that. Writing, yes. So the writing thing. I was just saying you should write. Yeah, just write. Like it's that 15 minutes a day, 250 words a day, whatever it is, that makes all the difference. It really does. And if you're going to write something right now, this is where I was going with it. I would not focus on a script. Honestly, I think you'll find that because of the pandemic, there's been so many writers, would-be writers, possible writers, all of whom are going to write movie scripts right now. Movie scripts or TV scripts or pilots or any of that kind of stuff. Honestly, I would say your best bet right now is to write a novel, a novella, short stories, whatever. I would write something that can be entirely yours. It isn't dependent on anyone else to develop it, isn't dependent on getting it picked up by an agent or distributor, any of that kind of stuff. I see so many people struggling with scripts right now. And I just think that make it your own. Like, write, if you can write a short story that goes exactly where you want it to go, that casts exactly the people you want to cast in your mind. It's just up to you to describe them, right? I think the freedom of that is something that I can't imagine anything better really when it comes to writing. So the idea of being able to do that, and then once it's written and people have something to look at, you'll find you'll get much more of a response from things that way. And then people want to pick it up and make scripts out of it and all that kind of stuff. So writing every day will help you find your style and your voice. Yeah, that's the thing. The thing is, like, I mean, you rip people off. I mean, like, literally copy stuff, do fan fiction, do all that kind of stuff. Because the whole point is you're just learning. It's like drawing. You can learn drawing by tracing. You learn music by playing other people's music. You find a voice through often by copying what other people do. I'm not saying copy it and sell it. I'm saying, like, you can, like, take a poem and change the words. I mean, that's what, who is it? Who's the one who walked into a river with stones in her coat and drowned herself? Miserable woman. But a wonderful poet. And she discovered poetry by writing versions of other people's poems, which she felt was a complete ripoff. But as she did it, she realized she learned structure. She learned about the use of words, about the rhythms, and so the patterns required for writing this poetry, and then became incredibly talented at it. In fact, that approach is what inspired another acquaintance of mine, John Mighton, who was sort of he was a science guy who always thought that you were either science or art. So there's no way a science guy would write, a play. And then he discovered this. Was it Virginia Woolf? Is that who it was? Someone in the chat, I'm sure, is smarter than I am on this stuff. Was it Virginia Woolf? Nice, easy, Sparky. How are you? Old Get What Games, collection of short stories, great idea. Bite size, easy, yeah, exactly. Oh dear. I went and I dropped my phone. Ooh, look at that one. That's a good shot. How about that? Reading horror stories. I'll say that I will. Oh boy. I'll say that I will, and then I never do. I'm terrible about reading stuff. And I just have so much stuff I get sent to read. And the other problem I get into is because I'm in the industry, there's so many copyright things to worry about. Like if I read someone's short story and then I've either written something or I'm involved in something that has something that might relate to the story you've written, then whatever. But I think Jane came up with a release of some sort that people can sign so that I can read stuff. I'll ask her about that. I think she's working with that on the website. And Lovely Rose, who's I shouldn't say Lovely Rose, she's Brilliant Rose. Brilliant Rose is helping us out with some of that stuff. So maybe there is a way of doing that. I thought it'd be kind of fun to read people's short stories for them, narrate them. But I don't know. Look, I've got ideas are never a problem. Time is always the problem. And look at me chatting away for half an hour or so. So Imperador, great question. Thank you very much for once again inspiring a spiral of self-doubt and concern and another pontification about about how to live your life. Who knew when I started all this silly online stuff that I was going to be sitting here talking to you about, oh my God, I said Tony Robbins stuff over a what would you call that? A cluster of mushrooms? Is there a term for a group of mushrooms? A podcast of mushrooms? Whatever, what do you call it? Pontification, procrastination go hand in hand. Yeah, no kidding, Old Get What Games, so true. I call this a cool down. An ion engine was invented in Russia. Woohoo! Does it work? Is it good? Did you hear about the Arab, what is it? The AEU? Is that what it's called? The AEU? They've just sent hope to Mars. I sent them a little tweet saying congratulations, because I think you sort of forget I'm very sort of North America centric, and I sort of forget that there's other countries doing this stuff. But the fact that the United Arab Emirates, is that what it is? Have I got that right? Have just got this some kind of explorer hope circling Mars. Is it circling Mars? Was it landed on Mars at this point? I'm not sure exactly what it was. I know Joseph Malotzi is working on a new Stargate. Oh my God, don't start. Everyone's working on a new Stargate. I mean, yeah. Everyone hopes for a new Stargate. I would love for a new Stargate. I offer, unfortunately, no information because I would be the last person to know. I know that all of those folks would, I'm sure, love to have a Stargate return to television. I'm sure the last thing they wanted was for that to ever stop. But I feel like it just sort of resurges every so often in the Gate World circles. Not just Gate World, but the Gate, Stargate community. These rumors surface of possible remounting of things, and I think that's wonderful, and I think it absolutely will happen at some point. I look forward to it. I doubt very much that it's going to involve old mushroom growing folks like me. So who knows? But of course, I'm there if they want them. Hello, just to be very clear, I'm there if you want me. Although I'm very busy right now. FBI agents and futuristic, apocalyptic kind of things going on. So, I'll try to be available for you. So William says it is orbiting Mars. Yeah, I thought that was the case. So it's orbiting Mars. A group of mushrooms is close together. It's called a cluster. Oh, there you go. That's not very exciting, is it? Cluster of mushrooms. I much prefer a podcast of mushrooms. So what else do I have to tell you today? So I will not be available this afternoon or this evening for any tech banditry. I will try to talk to the folks on Thursday. Really interesting chat yesterday, actually, with another one of those sort of impromptu chats that we had. It was really very, very interesting. And Baz is eager to do some streaming together again, some gaming together. So he thinks that I should perhaps be doing some, I don't know, Stardew Valley with him or something uncomplicated where we can actually play together. I'm wondering if we should play Magic the Gathering, because he beats the crap out of me all the time. So he'd really enjoy me. He'd enjoy doing that because he just thrashes me at it. And I'm rather taken with the idea of more Magic the Gathering. And then of course I've got all my Lego stuff. So I got a few Lego figures. I ordered a few Lego figures, to teach kids about the idea of, of speculation. Like, you buy the Lego figures, and maybe I keep one of them in the package and see if that becomes worth more than the ones that I've taken out of the package. So I thought I would do a little bit of Lego figures. I had some fun with Lego. Oh, this is my favorite? Check this out. I think this might be my favorite one right here. You see that? Look at that, huh? And there's a little Hope satellite right there, and a little spaceman with a wrench. So just in case you were interested, I want to teach the kids about speculation and investing and stuff, but to show them that it can be. What about this? Mushrooms. So what did I invest in the mushrooms? What does it cost me to make those mushrooms? And then what could you sell those mushrooms for? I just think Star Citizen would be great, wouldn't it? You could string them to the ceiling. The Lego or the Lego or the mushrooms? Because you can do both. The guy who I'm learning about mushrooms from, I should get his name because he's really great. He's got a series. He's got a thing that just hangs from the ceiling with these big bags of, I'm assuming, some kind of like sort of inoculated grains of some sort, and he just grows them that way. So, David, give you an email address that you check every once in a while at least. I do. Ryan Sharp. It is David I. Hewlett, all one word, at gmail.com, and that is my forward-facing email address, and I try to check it. I check it. I don't always get back to people very quickly because there's so many. You're wonderful. You're wonderful for getting in touch, and I'm terrible at replying to people. But I feel like if I do that, sometimes the whole days disappear just trying to get back to people. What else have I got in here? We got this free one. So talking about investments. So this came because I ordered too many Legos. I got this for free, and this is the Year of the Ox, and apparently this is already worth like 11 or 12 bucks, and I got it for free. So investment. There you go. I'm not going to tell you how much I spent, but that's beside the point. What else did I get? This is another one. So I actually got two of these because I liked it so much. I thought I'd keep one in the box and one not in the box, but that's like a little mini. It's like a little mini Millennium Falcon with a Han Solo there. So I thought there's a better shot of it there. There you go. That's right there. So I got that, which was kind of cool. I'm trying to keep, and then I just thought this was like the cutest thing. For weddings, for people getting married, you can have your own little Lego set. Just thought that was neat. Anyways, so again, literally speculating on what I felt were going to be valuable Lego figures later on. That's my pitch. That's my pitch to my family. And the other thing is, I thought, like, the big Lego kits. I love the big Lego kits. We have these extraordinary Ninjago contraptions that we built with Baz, for Baz, sort of, Baz watching, Baz helping, not, when he was much, much younger, too young, in fact. I totally embraced I am a young child again and shall play with Lego. So we had these huge Ninjago creations, gorgeous things like multi-headed dragons and these massive skull-crushing machines and stuff. And so I should probably build those. But I wondered about building them and maybe selling them so that we could get some more like Lego figures, because Lego figures just seem more manageable to me. I don't have the space for all of these big contraptions, much as I'd like to. And I feel like, what do you do with them? Like, once they're built, they're big, they're beautiful, I suppose you could hang them from the ceiling and things. And maybe I should just do that. But even then, you're banging into them, and I just felt like it's just a giant dust trap. Whereas Lego figures, there's a value to them. They're fun to have around. They're easy. Like you do a whole wall of Lego figures without, and it's only what they're like, they're like this big and just like flat against the wall. It'd be great. So that's the idea. Yeah, the Lego. Oh my God, the Lego Star Wars Death Star. I like that. The other one I love is that. Have you seen that? The Destroyer. Oh my God, that thing is freaking gorgeous. Or the giant Millennium Falcon. So my fabulous agent, is like almost as much of a nerd as me, if not maybe even more in some ways. He's got all of these Lego things. Like he's got everything from like the Hogwarts to the massive. I think he's got 2 of the giant Millennium Falcons because he does like one in a box for speculation, one that he builds for fun, and like his entire basement is just full of these things. So Lego Stargate. Well, in a way I have, Megan, because I built Lego Dimensions. And Lego Dimensions was just a freaking Stargate. That's what it was, right? Lego Figures is a gateway toy to stop motion animation. I know. Well, what's neat about that is that you can create 3D models of Lego figures and animate them like in Blender and stuff. Like I would love to do that. Of course, the reality is like Unity, you can program games with Lego now. So, the expert Ghostbusters Ecto. Wow. Star Jar is so cool. The Star Destroyer is so cool. I want one, but they're way too expensive. Yeah, this is it, Vendic. Like, I'm not going to spend. I shouldn't say that. I don't think I'm going to spend that much money. Like, I love the real life space stuff too, where they've got like, have you seen that space station? It's only $100. They got a giant space station, International Space Station Lego kit. They have. What have they got? The Apollo rockets. They've got, I think they must have the shuttle and stuff as well. But they've got all this great sort of legit science stuff, which I thought maybe that might be worth doing because that's science. I don't know. This is the beautiful thing about people think that when you become a parent that means you're a grown up. It doesn't. It literally means you revert to being a child again. Saturn Rock is one of the best sets ever. Okay, Adam Kelly, good to know. The ISS is not that big. You mean the ISS or the Lego ISS? Lego actually works really well with Arduino. Does it? I have the Mindstorm stuff, and I found the Mindstorm stuff a little restrictive, actually. But that's interesting. Oh, I'd love to come to Russia. I would love to come to Russia. I've been fascinated with Russia for years. I worked with a woman from Russia. I worked with an actress from Russia. Her father was like way, way up there in the aluminum business or something. And someone said she was like I don't know whether this was like a pejorative thing or whether this was just an example, but they said she was like the Russian Paris Hilton, and amazing woman, just a wonderful personality, just like of another world, totally of another world, and had like bodyguards and people with guns walking around everywhere on set with her. And there was a film I did years ago with Benedict Cumberbatch, one of his early films, called The Whistleblower. Yeah, horrible film. I mean, like a great, beautiful film, like amazingly made film, but the topic is grim. It is like war crimes. Yeah, oh God, white slavery. Not white slavery. Is it white slavery? Is that what the term for? I don't know what the term is. Like, why do we say white? Is that interesting? We're rethinking that too. Anyways, human slavery, I guess. I don't know. I met the man that wore the Stay Puft suit in the original movie, plus shared the birthday with Ernie Hudson, so it needed it. Oh, you're right. You had no choice. You had to buy that expensive Ecto professional kit. Good morning, Dave's the Dude. Good morning, and good afternoon, and goodbye, because you know what? It is almost 45 minutes I've been nattering on, and Lego Ideas website. You can submit your models for production and people vote on them. Universal Studio, then why the heck aren't we doing Stargate ones? Somebody build a Stargate and get that thing in there. We could be totally doing, although they probably wouldn't get the licensing agreement from MGM. They're jerks. There's nothing wrong with MGM. I just, oh my God, I'm working for them again right now. I gotta be careful. Cheers from, I thought you said cheers from spam. Cheers from Spain. Well, thank you. I'm glad I could actually catch you streaming. Vendrick, yes, likewise. I'm sorry that I'm about to disappear, but I gotta go. I gotta shower. I gotta get ready to go. I gotta shave so I look FBI sleek. Sleek and slimy is what I'm doing. The modern term is human trafficking. That's what it is. Thank you, William. Human trafficking. That makes sense. So yes, it was a movie about human trafficking and basically war crimes. In Bosnia. It was just, it was kind of horrible. Treadmill's built, you're off for a run. Good, have fun. Everybody, I will say, be safe, be kind, be brilliant. Go check out thetechbandits.com, please. Go see what we're up to. It's just, I just, I want to share it. And I'm enjoying it so much that I really hope that other people can get something from it as well. And of course, the more people who know about it, the more people there are for me to talk to and share stuff with. Go check out Gimpy God on YouTube, I believe. I'm not sure if he's got a Twitch channel or not yet, but and who else? Who else we look at? We should look for James R. Gurney, the fabulous James R. Gurney. Go follow him as well on Twitch and on YouTube. He is Jim the Evo, I believe. So go check him out. What else? thetechbandits.com. Oh yes, please sign up for the newsletter. Please, please, please. Because I think that could be a really useful tool. Well, first off, just because it's kind of fun because I get to share silly things with you. But also, and I got to say that I love doing that. That's the only writing I do right now is these little silly little things. So sign up for the newsletter there. You'll get all sorts of things saying, look out for phishing. But of course, I am phishing. I'm asking for your email address and I'm asking for, don't bother giving me your whole address. I didn't mean to ask for the whole address. I just wanted a city and a country, but MailChimp keeps dumping the whole freaking address in there. You can't seem to split it up, or I haven't figured it out. All I need is the city and the country so that I can put a pin in a map and we could have a map of all the tech bandits. So yeah, go check that out. Go check out the newsletter. Yeah, and the idea of if we get enough people on newsletter, I think that could be very valuable. Also, just to go to, I don't know, go to people who could sponsor Tech Bandits and give us some insulation and some heating for the garage so we can use it in the winter, that kind of stuff. Anyways, I shall say, be safe, be kind, be brilliant, and until we geek again, cheerio and huzzah! And yes, mycelium for the win.